I've been talking about the Democratic Party for quite some time now, and specifically talking about the Democratic National Committee. Today now is September 18th, 2017. A year from this November, the first Tuesday in November in 2018, we're going to have the midterm elections. The midterm elections are going to be very important from the standpoint of how the Trump administration proceeds over the last 2 years of his first term. And we would hope as Democrats that the Trump administration would only last one term. But I have to tell you, every time I turn on TV, I see a new commentator talking about the Democratic Party being in complete disarray, commenting that there are no new leaders of the Democratic Party, saying that the Democratic Party really doesn't have programs that it's fostering or presenting to the people of the United States of America. And that really is something that is extremely, extremely concerning. The reason I say that is because we're running out of time. We have to have candidates on the ground running at least by January of 2018, which means within the next 3 or 4 months. In many cases, people are being recruited now, and the Senate Campaign Committee, the House Campaign Committee, the Gubernatorial Campaign Committee are all going to be actively engaged in their campaigns. The Mayor's Conference will be the Democratic caucus and the Mayor's Conference will be engaged in Democratic mayors' campaigns. But the fact of the matter is the DNC has to be engaged. And the DNC can't be engaged in such a way that it looks like it's preserving the status quo, like it looks like it's still involved in the 2016 election. Now, I've made a number of proposals to the DNC, and I'm going to make them again now. And I'm saying that it's becoming too late for them to move on these. And if it does, then I think they'll abrogate their responsibilities, and we're going to end up in a situation here where we're going to have to look in other directions. So I'm a true Democrat. I call myself a Johnny Appleseed Democrat. I worked at the DNC from 1973 up through 1978, and then I worked on and off the DNC as a lawyer or consultant over a 20-year period. I know the rules. I was involved in the writing of the initial reforms. I ran the Compliance Review Commission. I was executive director of the Credentials Committee. I've served as counsel to the chair. I've written a number of calls. The first thing we need to do is ensure there's integrity in the delegate selection process and integrity in the charter. That means this can't be something, a unity commission or anything else. It means you need a hardcore delegate selection commission that sits down and comes up with rules that guarantee a full, meaningful, and timely opportunity to participate in the nominating process that will select a Democratic nominee for president and vice president for the 2020 election. Those rules need to be written now. That charter needs to be written now. And we need to make sure that all Democrats agree that they are fair, that we will never again tamper with the rules, we'll never again tamper with delegate selection, we'll never again tamper with debates. There'll be full debates within the Democratic Party. There'll be neutrality from the chair. There'll be neutrality from the staff. We'll move forward and elect a Democrat. But the fact is that needs to be recodified. That needs to be something that is imprinted as an imprimatur within the Democratic National Committee. And if anyone has any doubt about it, they're not going to have the trust. They won't have the faith in the DNC, and we will lose the opportunity to organize thousands, millions of Democrats around the country and bring millions of Democrats back into the fold. The next thing, fundraising. The DNC right now is running low on funds. The DNC needs to branch out and have people want to give money because they believe in the Democratic Party, they trust the Democratic Party, but it should be built on a base of small donors. You get a small donor, you get those investments, it means you got voters. It means you have precinct captains. It means you have people, county chairs. It means you have people throughout the states going out there and organizing and generating a fundraising base. You need the party's factions to all be pouring money into the DNC, not pouring it into each other, getting ready for a war within the Democratic Party, but rather coming together around common denominator type of issues. The other thing that the DNC needs to be doing immediately, other than revamping its delegate selection rules and its internal rules, other than setting up a small donor base, is conducting campaign training schools throughout the country in conjunction with the state parties, and their county and local affiliates. We need to train Democrats on how to get out the vote. We need to train Democrats on how to use social media. We need to train Democrats on speaking. We need to recruit candidates at the lowest level. You want to elect Democratic candidates for city councils, for school committees, for state reps, for your state offices, obviously, your constitutional offices, and your governor. We've done a dismal job on that. 2/3 of the governors in this country are now Republicans. 2/3 of the state houses are controlled by legislatures that are dominated by Republicans. We've lost the Senate, we've lost the House, we lost the White House. You need to train people, you need to convince them that the most important thing they have is their vote, and they got to get out and vote. We need to counteract the disenfranchisement type of laws that are being popped up all the time by Republicans around the country. We need to make sure that the voter intimidation that takes place needs to be safeguarded against, and we need to outlaw it where it may be legal, challenge it as we've been doing around the country, but make sure we have a tremendous campaign on it. And then we need to make sure outside interference, whether it's Russian interference or any foreign government interference, and not the 300-pound guy in New Jersey who's interfering with the election process, which is not who interfered with it, but rather the Russian interference, Chinese interference, wherever it's coming from. Make sure that the U.S. government, as well as our party, is protected from it, as well as our Secretary of States, as well as our election commissions around the country are protected from it. We need to be aggressive regarding that. The right to vote is the most sacred right we have. And we need to know that if someone casts a vote, it's going to be cast in a way that's free from interference, from fake news, but also free from interference or manipulation. So the party has to absolutely step into gear on that. And that should be a darn good way to go out and raise some money to make sure that the sanctity of the American voter is protected. Last but not least, we need a midterm conference. Now, I've heard an awful lot of DNC members say it'd be too unwielding. We need unwielding. We need something where people come together and they find their common denominators and they go ahead and they adopt a platform that people can run on in 2018. And the platform shouldn't be ultra left or ultra right. The platform should be something that has common denominator positions and issues that we can all rally around. And we have to understand that incrementally America can change. If we try and look at wholesale changes in an immediate way, I don't think we're going to win in another election in any of our lifetimes. We need to sit down and get realistic about where the Democratic Party stands, how the Democratic Party can impact in a favorable way the middle class in this country, how it can impact people who need our help because of a variety of issues. We need to make sure that we have an educational system that reflects 21st century realities. We need to get away on a local level. We need to resonate with the parents. We need to resonate with the young people. We need to resonate with the seniors, the vets, blue collar, white collar, whoever it might be, the farmers, whatever. Common denominator issues. Everyone needs a job. Everyone needs housing. Everybody has aspirations for their kids. We need to start talking about things that really mean something at the kitchen table in America. And when we begin to do that, I think we'll win elections. In order to do that, you have to bring us together. To bring us together, we should start with hearings around the country and then move ahead to a midterm conference. Display our new young leaders. There's nothing worse than Hillary Clinton out there on a book tour. And people look at that and say, well, that's the Democratic Party again. That is not the Democratic Party. That's the Democratic Party of old. Democratic Party of new are many, many young leaders who are out there today who will step forward and begin to lead under the banner of the DNC and the Democratic Party. But we've got to give them an opportunity. And the way to give them an opportunity is to come together in the off year, which is 2018, non-presidential year, in the summer, train people, build up the enthusiasm, the energy, and go out and win elections. So that's my prescription for the DNC. Now, I know that there are all kinds I've worked at the DNC, I know there are all kinds of impediments every day, But unless you get a vision going, unless you get this underway pretty quickly, we're going to wonder why we did not take advantage of all the discontent regarding the 2018 midterm election. So time is of the essence now. Let's go. Enough hand-wringing, enough sitting here saying, well, you know, we still have the Sanders-Clinton camps. We don't have the Sanders-Clinton camp. We have Democrats. Let's bring them together and move forward in the best interest of this party. If you can't do it, someone else will. And the answer is, if they do, the Democrats won't be in power for an awful long time. And I do believe the Democrats can make a positive difference when they have at least some of the branches of government. So please take this to heart. This, as I say, eventually, there's no sense in talking about this in January. By then you'll be talking about, well, how do we get by the midterms if we don't win them? I don't want that conversation coming out of the DNC.